Good day. Welcome to our webcast, Large Retailer IT Buying Behavior, Changes Driven by Business Transformation, highlighting the results from our recent Retail Source IT study. My name is Allison Crawford, and I will be your host for today's session. Technology Research's focus is to provide business research to accelerate our clients' success, and this webinar is a part of these ongoing efforts to find ways to support you and your business so you get the most out of your research investment. TRS Research Report Track Source IT provides an opportunity playbook into IT customer segments and IT spending across 37 workloads and categories, provides details on purchasers and their behavior, and maps both existing vendors of record and top-of-mind vendors for pending purchases. This webinar builds off the retail report and provides insights into the shift in consumer behavior to mobile and online purchasing, price comparison apps, and access to social product reviews, and how large American retailers are responding by investing in mobile point of sale, customer insight, and more agile supply chain and logistics systems to ensure renewed customer spending. Through these activities, our goal is consistent, to add actionable insight into the market and competitive strategies that translate into competitive advantage for our clients. In the next 60 minutes, Software Practice Director Stuart Williams will delve into the trends driving the results featured in this recently released study, followed by Q&A of these trends and how they will affect you. Before this over to Stuart, there are a few logistics I'd like to cover. First, we'll be recording today's session and posting it on our YouTube site, TBR channel. We encourage you to visit our channel to watch this presentation or any of the others that we've posted. Again, we'd like to hear your opinions and thoughts on the materials we're presenting. Please send any questions or comments to the Q&A chat function. Stuart will ask them at the end of the presentation, or if you'd like to set up a direct inquiry with Stuart, please reach out directly to him at the end of the presentation to set up the discussion. Third, we'll send the slides to everyone registered for today's webcast within 20 hours of the conclusion of the webinar. You can find the slides, other leadership pieces, other webinar decks, and commentaries on SlideShare at www.slideshare.net/TBR_market_insight. Now, let me introduce Stuart Williams. Stuart leads TR software and cloud practice and has pioneered this revolutionary work into mapping the opportunity playbook in IT purchasing. His strategic advice is helping our clients identify new opportunities and revenue streams. And with that, let me hand this over to Stuart.
Great, Allison. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'll be walking through some of the insights and results that have emerged in our most recent TBR Source IT report, which examines the IT purchasing behavior, plans, and key purchasers and vendor behavior among large North American retailers. So let's start. One of the findings is that research is that large North American retailers are being forced to move to multi-channel commerce. And that transition of their business models, and the IT that supports all of their business models is going to be driving a huge transformation of their IT operations and a shift significantly the $40.9 billion that these firms plan to spend in 2013. My name is Stuart Williams. I'm the Director of TBR's Software and Cloud Practice. Here's the contact information. So North American retailers are modernize their IT systems, and this is going to enable their business growth through efficient multi-channel commerce. 3 points that I'm going to discuss today are that these retailers are reacting in pursuit of multi-channel commerce. This is going to shift their spend. They're going to increase their budgets by 5% to an overall total budget of $43.9 billion. Addressable market, the vendor addressable market, is a little bit smaller, and I'll give you some examples of what that is. The second point is that the key buyers here for the most important and most influential workloads are the line of business buyers. We're going to drive the investments in mobile point of sale, e-commerce, consumer insight, and applications modernization investments. These investments we're also going to see are tied to and supported by choices that the IT buyers are going to make, who will drive vendor selection of the supporting technology and the infrastructure underneath the key strategic investments. Finally, mobile point of sale represents the most important point of transformation in the large North American retailers for 2013. And we'll have some images here that show you how purchasing in this area is mapped to a large number of attendant workloads. So the opportunity for vendors to begin to drive their business around this transformation, they'll be able to see which workloads are tied into that, but also themselves need to see the clear benefit of IT investments up and down the stack to schedule their spending with vendors, and they want to see those connections that are enabling the transformation of their business. But transformation on a budget, due to the budgetary effects and the transformations that are going on in the consumer retail space, there's not extra money going around. There's some consumer sentiment that's improving and some rebound in consumer spending, but it's not bouncing back to the degree that the retailers can just overinvest. So they need to invest in line with expectations. As part of research, we conducted both survey research and a number of interviews with both line of business and IT decision makers. And this is a really great quote here saying that recent investments geared towards innovative capabilities to increase automation and digitalization of sales. Trend is therefore shifting towards discretionary spending with focus on solution deployments that make us more competitive. There's a key message there. Increased by 5% this year, and we will see a similar increase next year. So there are IT budgeting increases that are not that far above inflation, moderate, and in response to changes in the business model. Changes that retailers are reacting to. These are changes in consumer behavior that are driven largely by the change in the IT that consumers are carrying around with them every day. There's increased consumer confidence due to some rebounding in the economy. We've seen consistent year-over-year e-commerce expansion. Smartphone penetration in North America is up to 60% from 40% a year ago, and that the use of tablets, 50% of tablet users actively use those tablets to make purchases. So the ability to enable the multi-channel commerce and to do it in a way that enables them the channel-by-channel relationship management with that customer is extremely important. Retailers see renewed opportunity. They see changing consumer behaviors. Note the increased competition driven by vendors emerging into their space, such as Amazon, who are selling these, such as the coupon providers. Other vendors are beginning to eat away traditional bricks-delivered retail environment. There's aging or in-house software that doesn't connect to these new systems. It doesn't provide the BI and analytics insights that they need. These systems also don't provide them with efficient and value chain management so that they can more easily handle the demand side and being able to handle fulfillment through multi-channel or all the way to the in-store merchandise planning, back into their inventory, warehouse, transportation management, and then deep into the supply chain. And all of these investments and upgrades and modernization efforts need to be conducted in an environment where the firms themselves have very, very thin margins and they're struggling with profit recovery, following in the midst of this slow economic recovery. So there is business capability via IT investments. So we talked about the total spend being around $43 million. The actual vendor addressable amount is increasing in 2013 by 5% to $30.7 billion. The retailers are focusing on e-commerce and mobile projects as top of mind. Discretionary spending, identifying emerging consumer behaviors and trends, to be able to and target the sales in the right manner so that they can do the right pricing to the right channels, handle the delivery. They want to predict this disruptive consumer behavior that can leave them with too much inventory in one location, not enough in another, not rapid enough fulfillment to the consumer, so you wind up with poor consumer sentiment. So you need to be able to manage insight into the customers. And then in order to free up resources and to enable full capabilities of these more modern IT systems, they need to optimize what's already in place. You know, customers are buying at the store and online. IT investments are focused on meeting customer needs, drive business growth and expansion. So, IT director. So, what's the opportunity look like? In the year of these large North American retailers are going to increase their average budget by %, resulting in a vendor adjustable spend of $30.7 billion. So total IT spend is estimated to be about $43.9 billion. There's obviously overhead and personnel costs that have to be carried in these budgets. And then the under addressable section is broken out here in the pie chart, comes to $30.7 billion. So we a healthy mix of investment across industry applications, which in this case are those applications that are specific to the retailers, such as programs, point-of-sale programs, transportation management. We have a suite of those. They have the business applications, which are the horizontal core business applications, you know, financials, ERP, CRM, supply chain management. We also have productivity applications, which are your kind of your knowledge work, your user computing, the office productivity, the email and messaging, collaboration software. Analytics includes a scheme from reporting and dashboarding all the way up through predictive analytics and data mining, analytics. Software technology category are those core elements that are underneath and support the foundational elements, so transaction processing, databases, middleware, messaging. Wrapping around all the rest of the software workloads are systems management. So there are virtualization, deployment, manage, provisioning, and governance and compliance software. Now these nodes are all supported by infrastructure and service by professional services offering. So this gives us a balanced view of where the vendor spending is going to be in 2013. However, there's another split here that we were able to determine through the information provided to us through the in-depth interviews and the surveys that we conducted, that the vendor addressable spend is split 68% to 32% between fixed and discretionary. And so on this slide, we get a view into the discretionary spend, which is the spend that is not tied to a previously existing or planned deployment or purchase or services contract from previous years. This is the amount that's available for net new investment, for redirect investment, transformational investment. The nearly just over 30%, just over a third of the investments going into professional services. This reflects the nature of the annual contracts that firms pick up with their professional services vendors. Infrastructure investment of just under $2 billion. And then the balance split into discretionary projects in software from systems management all the way up through the industry applications. The Director of Operations quote here is very interesting. He says, "We plan to invest in mobile technologies to improve consumer experience and in predictive and social media analytics, understand customer preference and behavior, thereby driving business growth." And these quotes are real exemplars for the challenges that the retailers are facing. You know, they have limited means to expand these budgets. They're faced with high challenges in the transformation of what they need to deliver. So vendors that can deliver the support services and the conversations with retailers that begin to bridge the older deployments, the older IT systems into these modern systems that enable multi-channel commerce are best positioned to succeed. View of the opportunity and where the spending is going to be heading overall in the space. What I'd like to do is talk about how both the line of business and the IT executives are involved in making purchases across all of the workloads that are inside the categories that I just described to you. So here we have a quote from an IT director, a large retailer in North America. We plan to invest in retail e-commerce, analytics, email, and messaging solutions, inventory management. Valuation can consist of IT and department heads, the pricing, configurations, and integration, and SLAs, and the CIO makes the final decision. We work with vendors that are subject matter experts and have faster response times. So here we have the reiteration of the key message around responsiveness, around experts in the business the end client is in to be able to drive the vendor opportunity. So of the 37 specific workloads that fall inside the categories on this pie chart, we asked respondents in the survey, please prioritize these, give us your top 5, and rank order them from 1 to 5 in your order of priority for prioritization of these in your operation. So we were able to see that industry applications, even though they're a small slice of the spending, around almost 40% of the highest priority projects for these large North American retailers in 2013. So some of the messaging here that's extremely important is attach your solution to or through other products to be able to support the prioritization of this transformation of the industry applications. Here's the challenge. Customers are buying at the store and online. IT investments are focused on meeting customer needs, drive business growth and expansion. And from an IT director, here's another quote: investments are being planned in new solution deployments and innovative capabilities for automation and digitalization to increase sales. So be able to address these challenges and to tie it back to the transformation, again, are important. And then we see business applications. So how do industry applications begin tied back to the business application? So the changes that you make for your merchandise planning are going to affect your ERP and your supply chain systems. We're also going to affect investments in BI analytics, where you're trying to get insight out of from the consumer all the way back into your supply chain. So these tie together, and that's really a key message in the conversation that we're having today, is that vendors can match across, up, down the IT stack, as it's described here, to drive a total solution value for retailers. Some vendors are well positioned here because they have. We were also able to ask folks for each workload category and where each workload you have, who is your vendor of record for that area. So we're able to make determinations that companies that like Microsoft, like Oracle, SAP, IBM, Hewlett-Packard, others at the software category level are well positioned to deliver against the broad requirements. And there are a lot of companies that are niche companies who deliver against the niche opportunities, but those firms have the most opportunity because they're the ones that are in the industry space or the BI analytics space that are of high priority. So the large vendors, I think, sometimes all have an opportunity to actually increase the value proposition of their total offering by making sure that they partner and make a lead or supporting role with the driven by the smaller, more targeted vendor. Now, behavior. This is a simplification of questions. For every workload that we examined, we were able to ask people who's involved in making these purchasing decisions. How does the committee come together? How do decisions to make decisions, how are they initiated and how do they flow through? So of that is that the decision-making process for industry and business applications as well as BI analytics are largely the need recognition as coming out of the line of business, and that's the force that's inaugurating these requests. The relevant solutions pass to the IT department, assess and evaluate these solutions, and then they pass that information back up to the C-suite, who's making the final decisions on investment. So to fully capture the opportunity in this space, conversations by the vendors with both the line of business and the IT department, culminating in a conversation with the C-suite. Obviously, opening up the conversation at the C-suite is another path, and that drives that broad vision for tool solutions in this space. Now, those are things that applications and software that the businesses need to drive to achieve their transformation. But the infrastructure, the software, and the rest of the infrastructure that enables all of those packages, that's the core software technology and systems management, those decisions are largely left to the IT department to specify the needs and then to build up that short list of vendors there and to pass that into the C-suite for the final decision. So endpoints there's three basic entry points here, the line of business, the C, and working with the IT department to recognize what's going to be coming so that they're prepared with it to meet their requirements. Now, I'm able to ask a lot of questions about what we call purchasing scenarios and the pathway to purchasing. Top four priorities that emerged in the research was these four that are listed on this page. So we have retail, so this is extending the sale operations to include mobile devices, aimed at real enterprise-wide insight into that and to offer e-commerce. Then workload was retail e-commerce and mobile commerce. This is the online and mobile purchasing trends that happen outside of the bricks, the building. And inventory management became another critical workload, being able to adapt, automate the ability to deliver goods regardless of where it's ordered. And then BI analytics is the fourth top priority, where businesses have recognized the need for insight and predictive insight into the behavior of consumers and the performance of their operations and supply chain, so they can connect, goods with requirements and drive business. The challenges that these address are monitored here, right? So for retail point of sale, obviously, vendor drive in-store sales. They want to reduce operating costs. They want to keep enable the customers to make a purchasing decision as quickly as possible. And there's a lot of vendors out there, a lot of big box stores, a lot of department stores and other stores where you pick up a good. It's a traditional model. You have to go and then stand in line to make a purchase and check out. And a lot of people see long lines and they think about it. They can't find the register is open. There's some frustration there. The concept here is to be able to have a point of sale person in a department or a kiosk be able to go and do self-service and make sure that transaction happens as close to the point of end customer or consumer decision. When they say, I want to buy this, boom, the sales associate can be right there to say, let me facilitate that transaction for you. So we talked the challenge around e-commerce. We talked about the need to optimize the supply chain and BI analytics in terms of supporting business expansion and growth. The average project budget on this slide represents the average reported project budget that includes the software, the hardware infrastructure, and professional services to get the project done in this year. We asked about the timelines, how long it is, and project budget, where people are at in their process. And so this actually reflects the fact that nearly 40% of the people that we studied for their retail point of sale purchase, they're in that planning stage. So this is one of the smallest budgets that was reported, and they're in that planning stage. They want to get the demonstration. They want to understand what the benefits are going to be and see which systems can be delivered by different vendors before they make the full-on purchase and go into a deployment. Move down this list, these workloads become more and more moving out of the planning stage into the purchasing or even into the implementation stages, so the budgets get commensurately larger. Benefits of our Source IT reports is that they provide this level of insight across workloads in each one of those different categories. To do right now is take another little bit of a deeper dive and break out some of the information around this key retail point of sale solution we have for that in-store purchases, right? Deploying mobile point of sale solutions will help us increase sales and provide an improved level of customer service. And this is from a line business manager at a retailer here in North America. So, a review sheet of to put some information around this case study. You know, the retailer reacting to that consumer behavior. They're seeking to extend traditional point of sale systems onto mobile devices, integrate that, and help them to create more business opportunity. I already talked about the project budgets, the purchasing scenarios. Again, they want to reduce costs and increase engagement with customers, so they're extending point of sale into mobile platforms. The area is around the solution functionality, the ease of integration with their existing systems, ability to extract real-time information, and then ease of use for those associates who are actually working with the consumers. We're in their opportunity in the cycle here. 40% are planning, 16% or 1 in 6 are purchasing, 24% are implementing test. This is largely a demonstration projects, and 10% of 1 in 5 large North American retailers are going live with some form of point of sale systems. So, top vendors, as reported by these retailers across the whole cycle that they have, are IBM, Microsystems, Apple, and Toshiba. Obviously, there's some information people want to work with these vendors. They may not have fully researched it, but these are the vendors that they're reporting to us around the top of vendors for the discretionary spend. The architectures here are both on-premise deployments as well as managed applications. These are the most frequently mentioned architectures. So there's an even mix here between traditional self wholly owned on-premise model and then a managed application model. Again, in the decision-making process, we see the CEO, the high-level executives, making the final decision to fund. The marketing teams are driving a majority of the initiatives in this space, and the way folks are purchasing right now is nearly 60% are purchasing direct, and just a third are through partner engagement. So this is the early stage nature of the purchasing that's in this class. So they're working on demonstration projects and will turn around broader RFPs that will pull in, open up the potential for larger systems integrators or other resellers to address opportunity. So for those that want to get in early, these are great test bed opportunities for them to get embedded with and have a retailer become comfortable with them. Then a little bit more detail on the purchasing scenarios around these mobile retail point of solutions. So what's the point? They're existing. We have 3 different scenarios here that drive that purchase, that push them into, why the investment now. So the existing functions inhibit business. So the pain points there is that, they're knowing the business they need to make a transformation. They need to extend the point of sale to a mobile device. They feel need to keep pace with competition and the technology. They need to make the information available to consumers and the sales associates inside the store. Other retailers, the story that drives their purchases, they need to, it's just a business, increase revenue and reduce costs. So divert sales opportunities more quickly typically increase in-store traffic, so they want to use that ease of use on the retail point of sale to pull people in, to reduce OpEx, so they can get the self-service piece, keep people on the floor, keep people away from behind the registers. And the third story is that they want to provide a higher level of service. And I alluded to this earlier, having the associate be on the floor, working with the customer, be able to take them through the purchasing process and hold them through any customizations or options, warranty purchases that they may want to make are very important. It helps the buyer understand options and information that's available. It's more convenient for the customer. They don't the decision to purchase in one area and then have to walk across the store to another area. So it keeps them engaged and it improves that customer experience. Key story here that emerges is that, this is from a finance manager at one of the large retailers, saying, besides ease of use, integration with existing systems, including back office and in-store systems, are our key buying criterion for point-of-sale solutions. Software capable to run on multiple hardware platforms and should include capabilities to provide real-time information with regards to inventory and pricing. So again, this shows how this is a key workload that begins to tie back to transformations in the IT stack that may be at the store level. There may be store-level analytics, but also for the whole retail operation. Here's an example. When we asked people about the total project budget, in this case it was $3,000 average budget. We said, well, what portion of that budget gets allocated to different areas? And so here's an image where we talk about the allocation, 11% or almost $42,000 is allocated to some professional services component for this retail, and of course fall into different categories. This is a total mentioned percentage here, so people like to buy more than one type of service. So largely, application development, operations, or infrastructure maintenance, integration are lead here, but I don't want to present the importance of the advisory strategy or consulting. That's for those firms that are in that initial stage of their purchasing. That's an incredibly important role, given the dependencies that retail point of sale is evidence to have across the rest of the IT stack. What I want to talk about today is this point transformation that cost and competition are on the rise. They have this need to, again, by this quote, they need to maximize profits and reduce costs. Another retailer says, we're not well positioned like our competitors when it comes to online selling. We need to increase our online presence. We don't want to be left behind. So this transition is in place. And the vendors are looking to make evolutions. Now, workload, we were able to ask them about their priorities, where the entry points are, and see the dependencies that they reported across the top 5 different workloads. Here it represents the connections. It's a kind of a graph, direct acyclic graph that shows the relationships between point of sale and the direct connected workloads lead from point of sale outwards. So this is the network of workload project priorities. So for folks who said point of sale was their most important, it reflected in the size of the bubble. The closeness with another workload represents the number of times that those two workloads were mentioned. It's a kind of a frequency. The less frequent that connection is, the further away the bubble is from each other. So you see here is the point of sale is a driver tied to merchandise planning, retail inventory, e-commerce, wholesale inventory management systems. It passes up into security. It touches on loyalty programs, CRM, and then it starts to back into some of the data center activities around the operating systems and productivity applications. A lot of other workloads that aren't visible or highlighted in this relationship because they're more than one step away from the point of sale software, but you can begin to see the dependencies that are aligned among large North American retailers when it comes to talking about point of sale. There's a lot of touch points, there's a lot of systems that are dependent on the systems that are touched by point of sale. So our advice to vendors is that they begin to look past individual workloads and start to think more holistically and begin to see the connections between workloads as they begin to position their products. Some more detail here. These are just a couple of quick tables that we pulled together that map out on the left. These are most frequently reported key workloads in order. And these, as I mentioned earlier, the decisions are driven by the line of business purchasing. So here's the point of sale vendors, the workloads, retail e-commerce workload, inventory management solution workload, and BI analytics workload. And budgets are there, and also the top of mind vendors reported in each of those categories. Now, next to it on the right are the four workloads that have the highest budgets, the largest budget. So we see ERP, data mining, HRM, and SRM together, and transportation management. You can really see the dependencies of the success of the strategic investments that, even though they're smaller on the left, are going to both impact and be impacted by lower priority but larger budget items on the right. So I don't lose people here. The closely you can connect your product or service offering to and across these workloads, the greater success you'll have, and also the greater opportunity space you will have within the large retailers. Well, then, within the large retailers, we know that they're not all the same, right? So the folks that we examined in this study, large means more than 1,000 employees. So we get a little bit of character to understand, are there differences among these firms? So we asked them two questions and related to this customer character. One is their aggressiveness of IT adoption, and that's the vertical axis on this chart. The other axis, the whole axis, is the centralization of IT spending, meaning is it highly centralized just within the IT department, or are purchasing decisions distributed across IT and line of business? And so we looked at those firms just on that base, and percentage signs that you see here are out of all the firms that we saw. What's that distribution? How does it break out? So going clockwise, starting in the left-hand corner, 15% of firms are what we call structured go-getters. They're aggressive in their IT adoption and have highly centralized IT functions. You have an average 20 IT spend of $21 million. This is about $10 million below the average budget. And we feel like these are the folks who are continuously, aggressively investing, and they're more likely on the mid-size of this large price category, and to leverage their growth rapidly through IT. Next is what we call powered. The majority of the firms in this space feel that they're aggressive in their IT adoption, but they also have distributed IT decision making, and which give characteristics of the workloads in this space that are attached to other workloads. This will be an easier opportunity because the connections have been made or begun to be made between the line of business influencers and the IT decision makers. This represents the 55% of the population, and that the average budgets here were $30 million, which was on average just about the average budget for the IT for the large retailers in North America. Now, on the lower right, we have a group that we call laissez-faire. So they are late game in terms of technology. not aggressive in adopting the most recent trends, also have highly distributed decision-making between IT and line of business decision makers. This was about a quarter of the population. Their IT budgets were around $78 million. It relates pretty well to the largest firms in this customer segment. So you can understand that there's some of the largest retailers have been quite aggressive in their IT adoption, so the mix isn't completely, you can't just judge them by their size. But this is where the bulk of the vendor opportunity is. They're beginning to feel the pressure in terms of needing to catch up. Budgets are there, the need is there, so we feel like these are the firms that are should be the primary target for vendors who want to be able to capture the opportunity tied to the retail transformation. In fact, they're kind of 3% of the population were what we call bureaucrats. They're the smallest companies, $4 million budgets, late adopters, and highly centralized IT. It's just very rare to find those types of firms. So looking to one qualify on budget first because they may not have a lot of budget to spend. So to wrap up the presentation, we can go into some of the Q&A. I'll have a couple of points to make. I just wanted to make sure that I had one quote here. Increasing competition and changing business conditions. It's important to not only manage customer data but apply analytics to draw conclusions, help them to improve their business. So even though I didn't directly to it, I talked more about the end customer experience and point of sale. Know that from being able to help that actionable part of a retail business, the analytic and insight requirements are incredibly important as well. One of the top workloads. About today, we mentioned about large North American retailers who will modernize their IT systems so that they can drive business growth through efficient multi-channel commerce. They're not going to walk away from their bricks and mortar. They're going to embrace and extend their e-commerce and move towards enabling mobile point of sale, both in the store and through mobile devices. So that's going to the 5% increase in their budgets going into 2013. The vendor space was $30.7 billion. That's a fairly small uplift. So vendors need to work with these retailers to identify ways that they can begin to save or relocate money that may be tied up in some of the fixed spend or in some of the overhead categories, can then get leveraged into some more strategic purchases. Conversations with line of business buyers should be initiating, developing, and supporting those conversations. Should be top of mind for IT vendors. As I've shown, that these workloads are the ones that tie most deeply across the organization and opens up the most opportunity. And that's mobile point of sales is this point of transformation that's driving IT modernizations as retailers react to the changing of customer behavior. So with that, what I'd like to do would be to turn back to Allison, and we can get some questions.
We've had a couple questions ready. I'd like to encourage anyone out there, if you have any questions, please send them through now. The first question, Stuart, is what do you think is the potential for cloud computing applications in retail?
So when we about firms like Amazon that are transforming the experience for consumers and for retailers, is a huge opportunity to deliver into this space using a cloud model. So it can be a one-step. A retailer could offer a cloud service that could embed it into applications, or it could be something that goes directly to an e-commerce site, through responsive web designs, but also back into the operations of the business. The ability to offer cloud-enabled supply chain management, to be able to host and improve the transaction insight and quality and speed of supply chains is a huge opportunity. So ability for large vendors to work the tiers of their suppliers by offering or working with a vendor to offer a cloud-based system is huge. I mean, the retailers are geographically diverse. They where the people are, and really down into being in the people's pockets these days on their portable devices. So yeah, cloud applications represents a key delivery and enablement technology, both for the retail business itself and for the operations of the retailers.
Great. Next question that came through, Stuart. It is not clear what the anticipated spend is for servers and storage to support these workloads. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. In this report, we have in the vendor addressable spend, we have a category called infrastructure. Is just $7.4 billion. Both it gets split into the fixed and discretionary spend for the year, and that's a roll-up of the servers, storage, networking, hardware that retailers will need. Future reports, as we get into building out, are going to provide more breakouts into vendor selection and budgeting around the hardware layers.
Okay. Question that came through. Can you provide some more color on the 3 other highest priority workloads?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. I don't have slides handy, so I'm going to have to read them off to you. But the e-commerce and mobile commerce space, as I said, as we demonstrated, have a larger budget, almost $100,000. The scenarios here are all wrapped around, again, adapting multiple channels to maximize sales and to stay competitive. To consumers, the information to them on the go. The criteria here are around integration with existing systems and improving the end user experience. And here we see a different shift in the life cycle where people are at. 20% are in the planning stage, 14% are purchasing, 27% are implementing, and nearly a third, 32%, are going live. So these are key areas. Now, see, and what was surprising was a mix of e-commerce vendors. So we saw firms like PayPal, Amazon, SAP voted as the top vendors for selection in this workload category. So we see retailers, likely smaller retailers, wanting to partner with Amazon to leverage their reach by building the e-commerce storefronts in Amazon, whereas others want to work with SAP and other that can enable their own wholly owned architectures. And then PayPal, of course, is a key transaction payment vendor. The architectures we saw were private cloud architectures, about 20%, hosted solutions at 19%. These really dominate the landscape for the architectures in this space. And again, the purchasing decision-making is driven by the C-level office. 41% of firms are buying direct, but 53% of firms are buying through a value-added or systems integrator relationship. Example here. When we look at the space for retail and warehouse inventory management systems, it increases here around just over $1.8 million average budget. And here we another distribution. People are improving automation and integration of online back-end and in-store systems, so they're optimizing that supply chain. Need great with inventory management solutions and with their existing systems. Opportunity space here, 30% are in the planning stage, 13% are purchasing, and 40% are implementing. 16% are going live. And SAP are the top-of-mind vendors for the wholesale and distribution inventory management solutions, and Commerce is the top vendor for discretionary purchasing and retail inventory management solutions. And here we see another mix of 21% private cloud architectures are desired, and 17% are traditional on-premise deployments. Last key category is analytics, social media analytics, data mining, and business performance management solutions. There was a lot of interest in these areas. People were buying multiple type workloads at the same time. So total budgets in these areas is just under $2.2 million. So to tie together these both traditional and emerging types of solutions, social media analytics, predictive analytics as an advanced solution, business performance management to better understand what's happening in your business and with the consumer sentiment. We have a mix here. 22% are planning, 18% are purchasing, 55% are going live with some form of one of these parts of solution. The top vendors that are under consideration right now for planned and implementing are SAP, Microsoft, IBM, and Oracle. This is just the report highlights. Purchasing is largely driven by SI engagements. 44% of the respondents were getting driving their engagements through some one of the SI partners. Sort of overview of the other three top workloads. The full IT report has a full case study on each one of those areas.
Okay, more questions? What's that? Sure. We have a couple more questions that have come through, and almost at the top of the hour. So the next question was, what level of interest do these large retailers have in Windows 8 tablets, or separately WinRT tablets as platforms for mobile POS?
It's a very, very specific question, and the data on this was run right before the Christmas holiday. So it's kind of very early in the general release of the Windows 8, Windows RT, and the tablets era. So I don't have pure data points that point to people looking to actually do deployment using those platforms. We do have broad interest in looking at that as an alternative. For the top of mind vendor is Apple. I mean, it keeps being mentioned again and again and again across the data set. So there's a top of mind awareness that Microsoft, if they want to drive success in this area, will need to combat. And the most likely avenue for that is because it integrates with some of the back-end systems that may be in deployment.
Okay, time for one more question. Does the opportunity change among the largest retailers, say those with more than 10,000 employees?
Yes, it does. To do some segmentation, I alluded to this a little earlier in the chart that I talked about. The retailer character of their firms. When we did the split just by head count, that about 24% of firms are more than 10,000 employees. That's a little over 250 firms. The average budget inside all of the customer segment that we looked at, firms with more than 1,000 employees, was $31.5 million. Among largest firms, that budget went up to an average of $81 million. Obviously, when you get to the very top, firms like Walmart are their own category. But the year-to-year increase was 5% in the largest firms, and that came up to just under $4.5 million. So when you see the size of some of the budgets here, we look distribution across the different work categories for the budget increases. You know, there were some incremental shifts in different areas, but it was not all piled in one area. It's evenly distributed across different workload categories. So it's an even lift up, which is to the conclusion that vendors, if they want to make sure that there's enough for their solution, need to work across all different areas to make sure that they can free up the money to drive the purchase, this transformational purchase.
Great. Looks like we're just about time. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Stuart, for taking the time today, and thank you, folks, for sending in your questions. You can follow both Stuart and TBR on Twitter. I've listed the handles here for you, as well as check out the presentation, this presentation, as well as others, on our SlideShare channel, as well as our YouTube channel. And I'd like to encourage you all to join our LinkedIn user group. It is by invitation only, so please send a request to join. Before you sign off, we are running a short survey, 2 questions, just to see the quality of the presenter and the presentation. We'll be using your feedback to improve presentations quarter to quarter. I'm going to leave that function open for another couple of minutes to give folks a last-minute questions or comments or requests for additional conversations. Can send them through now. And we look forward to speaking with you guys all again when the next Source IT report comes out. Great day, everybody.